been chasing everything. People, money, validation, like a starving wolf, running in circles. Stop. The real power begins when you stop running. When you detach, the world turns and suddenly everything chases you. Detachment isn't indifference. It's dominance disguised as calm. It's not that you don't care. It's that you control what's worth caring about. The Machiavellian mind doesn't beg, doesn't cling, doesn't chase. It watches. It calculates. It lets others reveal their hunger while it sits in silence. Unbothered, untouchable. You become gravity itself. Everything orbits your stillness. Comment below, I am the calm that controls the storm. Let that phrase burn into your mind, because from this moment forward, detachment is not a choice. It's your weapon. Welcome to Machiavellian mode. Number 1, the power of walking away. Detachment isn't weakness, it's control. The man who can walk away holds the power because he's no longer enslaved by need. Every time you crave approval, you hand someone your leash. Every time you react, you expose your strings, cut them, burn them, become the one who chooses what deserves his energy. When you stop chasing, you shift from prey to predator. People feel it. Your silence becomes unsettling. Your absence becomes a question they can't answer. The more you pull back, the more they move toward you, because what's scarce becomes valuable, Machiavelli said. At best, men desire what they cannot control. So control yourself and you'll control the game. Let them wonder. Let them compete for your attention while you observe in perfect calm. Comment below, my silence is my strength. Say it, mean it, live it, because the moment you master walking away, the world starts walking toward you. You are no longer the seeker. You are the source. Number 2, the art of emotional discipline. Power isn't in how loud you speak. It's in how still you remain when others crumble. Emotional discipline is the rarest form of strength because it's invisible. It doesn't roar. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It simply exists. Cold, unshaken, immovable. The Machiavellian mind knows this. Whoever controls emotion controls perception, and whoever controls perception controls outcome. You cannot command respect if you are ruled by impulse. You cannot dominate a room if your emotions leak through your words. The man who reacts has already lost. You must become untouchable, an observer cloaked in composure. When others rage, you analyze. When others panic, you calculate. You watch how emotion exposes weakness, how feelings betray strategy, how attachment poisons power. The cold truth is that most people are slaves to their feelings, their anger, their jealousy, their craving for validation. That's why they fail. They think emotion is authenticity. They call it being real. But being real doesn't win wars. Control does. The disciplined mind uses emotion as a weapon, never as a weakness. You must learn to pause before you speak, to breathe before you strike, to let silence punish more than words ever could, because silence is sharper than anger and composure cuts deeper than revenge. Understand this, emotional control is not about suppressing your humanity. It's about mastering it. The lion doesn't roar at every ant. He conserves his power for the prey that matters. That's what you must do. Conserve, calculate, and strike only when it serves your purpose. Every reaction you suppress becomes stored energy, pure dominance waiting to be unleashed when timing favors you. The Machiavellian man smiles when others expect rage, withdraws when they expect chaos, and strikes when they expect calm. That's emotional warfare. Cold, intelligent, untraceable. Comment below, I rule myself before I rule the world. Engrave it into your mind, because power isn't earned by emotion, it's preserved by control. And until you master that control, you'll always be a servant to chaos. But once you do, nothing and no one can move you. Number 3, the power of absence. Presence makes people comfortable. Absence makes them obsessed. When you're always available, you become background noise, predictable, replaceable, invisible. But when you withdraw, when you vanish without explanation, your silence echoes louder than any speech. The Machiavellian mind understands that scarcity multiplies value. You don't compete for attention. You remove it. You don't beg to be seen. You disappear until they crave your return. Absence is the art of psychological gravity. It pulls without touching. It controls without demanding. When you step away, the world starts to rearrange itself around your void. People who took you for granted start replaying every word you ever said. They begin to chase, to wonder, to fill the silence with their own insecurities. That's control. Quiet, surgical, invisible control. Use your absence as a strategy. Withdraw when they expect closeness. Delay when they expect reaction. Watch how the anticipation builds power in your favor. The great manipulators of history understood this. Machiavelli, Napoleon, Marcus Aurelius, they all wielded distance as a weapon. Because absence isn't weakness, it's power disguised as mystery. You must learn to make people earn your presence. Make them feel that seeing you, hearing from you, being around you is a privilege, not a right. When you detach, you create space for others to expose their dependency. You reveal who truly values you and who only valued your accessibility. Never be too reachable. Never be too familiar. Familiarity breeds contempt. Scarcity breeds fascination. Understand this paradox. The less they have of you, the more they want you. The more they want you, the more you control them silently, effortlessly. That's the essence of dark power. Comment below. My silence creates demand. Say it with conviction, because your presence should never be taken for granted. It should be felt like an absence that haunts the room. In a world addicted to noise and validation, your disappearance becomes the loudest statement of dominance. Be gone long, enough to be missed, but never long enough to be forgotten. That is the perfect balance between mystery and mastery. That is the power of absence. Number 4, control through indifference. Indifference is the ultimate display of dominance. It's the quiet declaration that nothing outside of you has the power to disturb your inner empire. Most men crumble because they care too much about opinions, outcomes, approval. They react, they explain, they justify. But the Machiavellian mind understands that emotion is currency and attention is leverage. The one who stays indifferent controls both. When you stop caring about winning every battle, you start winning the war. Indifference starves your enemies of energy and confuses those who seek to manipulate you. It disarms the narcissist, frustrates the weak, and terrifies the insecure. They can't fight what doesn't respond. They can't control what doesn't need them. You must build a mind so calm it becomes uncomfortable to others. A silence so strong it feels like confrontation. That's what indifference does. It creates psychological discomfort in those who feed on reaction. You must become the man who looks at chaos and feels nothing but calculation. When people expect emotion, give them stillness. When they expect attachment, give them distance. That is power. The power of non-reaction. Every moment you waste explaining yourself, you shrink your aura. Stop explaining. Stop convincing. Speak less. Observe more. Let your results, your presence, your composure speak for you. The truly powerful never chase validation. They make the world validate them. They operate from a place of quiet confidence, unbothered, unreachable, self-sustained. Indifference is not apathy. It's strategy. It's choosing where your energy flows and who earns it. It's realizing that control is not about dominance over others, but mastery over self. When you no longer react, you become unpredictable. When you no longer crave approval, you become magnetic. When you no longer chase, you attract effortlessly. That's the paradox of control. You gain it the moment you stop demanding it. Comment below. My calm is my weapon. Say it with conviction. Indifference doesn't mean you don't care. It means you decide what's worth caring about. You walk through storms without flinching because your power isn't external. It's internal and it's absolute. You are not ice. You are fire. Hidden beneath ice, patient and precise, burning only when you choose. That is, control through indifference. The crown of true power. Number 5. Mastering manipulation through self-control. Manipulation is not about deceit. It's about direction. It's the art of guiding emotion, perception, and behavior without ever revealing your intent. But before you can manipulate others, you must first conquer the greatest adversary, yourself. The Machiavellian man understands that every manipulation begins with self-control, because the one who cannot control his impulses cannot control outcomes. Weak men think manipulation is about words, tricks, or deceit. Strong men know it's about emotional precision, the ability to influence without exposing desire. You must become a mirror reflecting what others needed to see, not what you want to show. The world runs on emotion, not logic. People act not from reason, but from insecurity, ego, and desire. When you can read those currents without being moved by them, you gain silent command. You must train your mind to detect patterns, tones, micro-expressions, hesitation. Every detail reveals leverage. The person in control of their reactions holds the frame. When someone seeks to provoke you and you remain still, they hand you their power unconsciously. When they expect validation and you withhold it, they chase your approval. That is manipulation through absence. When you agree with their emotions but not their logic, they open up their defenses. That is manipulation through empathy. And when you remain unpredictable, never fully revealing motive or vulnerability, you keep them guessing. That is manipulation through mystery. Each form requires one core element: self-control. The Machiavellian mind doesn't seek to win arguments. It seeks to control direction. You let people feel victorious while quietly steering their choices. The greatest manipulators in history, Caesar, Bismarck, Machiavelli himself, all mastered restraint. They spoke less, observed more, and struck when emotion had blinded their opponents. Self-control is the shield and the sword. It protects you from manipulation while allowing you to master it. Never let emotion become your weakness. Let it be your weapon, carefully aimed and rationed. Use charm when it serves, empathy when it disarms, silence when it intimidates. Know when to flatter and when to ignore, when to withhold and when to reward. This is chess, not checkers, and patience wins the board. To manipulate effectively, you must first believe nothing, but understand everything. Listen not to respond, but to dissect. Every word someone speaks reveals what they fear, what they crave, what they lack. Feed their ego and they'll hand you loyalty. Withhold validation and they'll fight for it. That's the paradox of influence. Control is not taken. It's given by those too blinded by emotion to see your stillness as power. Comment below, I control myself, but therefore I control everything. Repeat it until it becomes truth. Because when you master self-control, you no longer react to the world. You create it. You become the invisible hand guiding chaos toward your advantage. That is not manipulation. That is Machiavellian mastery. Number 6. Power in patience and timing. Patience is the highest form of power because it demands mastery over the self before mastery over the world. Every weak man wants results now. Every strong man understands that time is the greatest accomplice of power. The Machiavellian mind sees life as a chessboard, not a battlefield of emotions, but a calculated war of timing. The impulsive move first and fall hardest. The disciplined wait, watch, and strike when the opposition has exhausted itself. Power isn't about endless action. It's about precise execution. You must train your mind to detach from urgency, to observe the chaos without becoming part of it. Timing is everything, and patience is what gives timing its edge. A predator doesn't chase every sound in the forest. He studies the silence until the prey exposes itself. The man who waits controls the man who acts too soon. The impatient burnout. The patient build empires. Look around. History doesn't remember the frantic. It remembers the calculated. The Machiavellian understands that movement without a strategy is suicide. Every word, every silence, every delay must serve purpose. You do not chase opportunity. You engineer it. Through waiting, you observe patterns, weaknesses, arrogance. You let others reveal themselves, their motives, their flaws. Because when emotion rushes them, you become the calm architect behind their destruction. Waiting is not weakness, it's psychological warfare. The world rewards those who can delay gratification, who can starve the ego long enough to feast on results. The impatient mind seeks validation in motion. The powerful mind finds satisfaction in stillness. Every second of patience builds tension, and tension is leverage. The one who can hold silence the longest controls the negotiation. The one who can endure uncertainty the longest wins the game. Machiavelli himself wrote that fortune favors the patient strategist, not the reckless warrior. Fortune in his world was not luck, it was timing personified. To control fortune, you must control time. The disciplined man moves like a shadow, unseen, unhurried, but inevitable. He lets others drown in their own speed while he flows beneath it, calculating, waiting for his moment. Understand this. Time kills the unprepared and crowns the composed. When you rush, you act from fear. When you wait, you act from power. Waiting allows emotions to cool, information to surface, weaknesses to emerge. Every empire, every conquest, every manipulation requires endurance. The patient man is dangerous because he cannot be provoked. You can insult him, challenge him, doubt him, but he won't react. He knows every outburst reveals your position. His silence is his weapon, and his timing is his executioner. Think of how a serpent waits, motionless, expressionless, while the impulsive prey exposes its throat. That's how power behaves. True patience is not passive. It's a form of controlled aggression. You're not waiting because you fear. You're waiting because you've already calculated the ending. You're letting time polish your advantage until it becomes undeniable. The world thinks patience is boring. That's because it requires strength most will never have. It's not about doing nothing. It's about knowing when to do everything. The Machiavellian mind uses time like a scalpel to carve precision into destiny. Every second of restraint builds power. Every delay is a setup. Every pause is a trap. When you understand timing, you no longer chase opportunity. You summon it. You don't need to rush to prove your worth. Your composure does it for you. When everyone else scrambles for attention, you sit in silence, knowing that the longer you wait, the more desperate they become. You learn to move when the timing serves. Your ambition, not your emotion. Never mistake patience for inaction. It's motion beneath the surface, pressure beneath calm water. It's the quiet accumulation of leverage. In time, all who rush burn themselves out. Their desperation becomes your advantage. So, be patient, not because you must, but because you choose to. Patience is psychological dominance disguised as serenity. The man who can wait without losing focus is the one who cannot be broken. He bends time to his will. He moves in silence while the world screams for attention. Comment below, I wait, because I already know I'll win. Repeat it until it burns into your instincts. Because power is not in the speed of your strike, but in the patience that makes your strike inevitable. Every Machiavellian understands this truth. Time is the sharpest blade, and only those disciplined enough to wield it can cut through destiny itself. Number 7, the psychology of control and submission. Control is not about dominance through force. It's about influence through precision. The Machiavellian mind knows that human nature bends not under strength but under understanding. To control others, you must first understand what controls them, their fears, their desires, their weaknesses. Every person you meet is ruled by an invisible chain, some by validation, some by love, some by power, and most by insecurity. When you see those chains clearly, you hold the key. The psychology of control begins with observation, not reaction. People reveal their hierarchy through behavior, who they fear, who they imitate, who they seek approval from. Study that, and you see the architecture of their submission. The world runs on power dynamics, and the ones who deny it are the first to fall victim to it. You must learn to detach emotionally from people's masks and listen to what their actions confess. Everyone is either controlling or being controlled. Neutrality is an illusion. Control starts with your presence, the way you carry yourself, the silence you maintain, the calmness that unnerves those who expect chaos. Most men chase attention. Few command it. You command it by not needing it. You speak less, but every word cuts with authority. You move slower, but every motion signals confidence. This composure builds psychological gravity, pulling others into your frame. Submission happens when people unconsciously start adjusting to your energy. They mirror your tone, seek your reaction, wait for your approval. And in that waiting, you control them. Never demand authority. Make it felt. Make people earn your attention like it's oxygen. When you reward it, do it sparingly. Intermittent reward is the deepest form of conditioning. It keeps people addicted to your approval without ever feeling secure. That's the psychology of control. They never know where they stand, and so they keep trying to stand closer. To dominate a room, say little, observe much, and reward selectively. When others seek to provoke, remain still. When they expect you to fold, smile. Predictability is weakness. Mystery is leverage. The Machiavellian man never reveals the full story. He lets others fill the silence with their assumptions, and their assumptions always betray them. Submission is not something you force. It's something they offer when they recognize your superiority. But superiority isn't about arrogance. It's about mastery of yourself, your impulses, and your strategy. People follow those who appear to need nothing because it terrifies them. It creates psychological imbalance. Your detachment becomes dominance. Your indifference becomes influence. When others realize they cannot affect you, they begin to orbit you. Understand this. Control doesn't always look like leadership. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like stillness. The most dangerous kind of power is invisible because it operates through perception. You don't need to be above others physically. You only need to live rent-free in their minds. Every interaction is a negotiation for psychological positioning. He who controls emotion controls the frame. He who controls the frame controls the outcome. The submissive seek reaction. The powerful provide direction. Always be the one who defines reality calmly, ruthlessly, silently. Never argue, never over-explain, never justify. To explain is to beg for understanding. To stay silent is to project certainty. Your presence should make others question themselves, not you. Comment below. I control the frame. I control the game. Because once you understand human behavior, you stop competing with it. You manipulate it. The weak try to control through fear or force. The wise control through subtle influence. They make others want to comply, need to please, fear to disappoint. You must build that aura, the kind that demands respect without demanding attention. Control is never loud. It's the calm in your eyes, the precision in your words, the discipline in your reactions. It's the art of making people surrender willingly, because true submission isn't taken, it's volunteered, and only those who have mastered themselves can inspire it in others. The psychology of control begins and ends with one truth. The less you need from others, the more they need from you. That's Machiavellian power. Cold, patient, and absolute. Number 8. How to become emotionally untouchable. To become emotionally untouchable is to achieve the highest form of control, not over others, but over the self. The world is ruled by emotion, and that's why most people are slaves. They react, they overthink, they crumble when things don't bend to their desires. The Machiavellian mind operates above this chaos, not because it feels nothing but because it commands everything it feels. Emotional control doesn't mean you're numb. It means your emotions serve you, not sabotage you. Weak men seek validation. Strong men seek power. But the untouchable man transcends both. He becomes his own validation, his own source of calm. When you reach that level, no insult, betrayal, or loss can break your center. You stop chasing comfort because you understand that power is born in discomfort. You stop arguing with the world because you've realized you can bend it through silence. The emotionally untouchable man knows the difference between reaction and response. Reaction is instinct. Response is strategy. You must train yourself to pause in every situation. 2. Analyze the motive behind the moment before giving it energy. When someone insults you, they're not attacking your truth, they're revealing their insecurity. When someone withdraws from you, they're not rejecting your worth, they're exposing their dependency. When someone betrays you, they're not destroying your power, they're confirming their weakness. Understand this and you'll never be moved again. The Machiavellian man doesn't drown in feelings. He studies them like data. He observes his anger not as rage, but as information about what he values. He examines his sadness as a lesson in attachment. He uses pain as sharpening, stone not as poison. Every emotion becomes a teacher, not a master. To be emotionally untouchable, you must detach from external outcomes. You can't be controlled by what you cannot control. The world will test you with failure, loss, and rejection, not to destroy you, but to see if you're still reactive. Every test is a mirror asking one question: are you still ruled by emotion, or have you mastered it? The answer decides your fate. The man who reacts loses leverage. The man who remains composed gains it. Control is currency and calmness is wealth. Emotional untouchability is not coldness, it's composure. It's knowing that your peace is worth more than proving a point. It's smiling when they expect anger, walking away when they expect a fight, and staying silent when they demand validation. That silence drives them insane because it exposes their emotional slavery. They can't understand how you can stay unmoved, how you can exist without needing their response. That's the moment you win. You win by staying still while everyone else panics. You win by remaining strategic while they're emotional. You win by conserving energy while they waste theirs trying to provoke you. Remember, every reaction is a confession. Every time you lose control, you tell the world exactly where to hit you next time. Stop confessing. Stop explaining. Your calmness is your armor. When you no longer react to chaos, chaos exhausts itself. Comment below: my peace cannot be disturbed. Say it until it becomes instinct. Because when you reach that point, people will start fearing your silence more than your words. They will respect your absence more than your presence. That's when you become untouchable. You're no longer playing the same emotional game. You've transcended it. People will test you. They will try to pull you back into their chaos. But you must never step down from your throne of composure. Let them talk. Let them project. Let them spiral. You remain still. The world belongs to those who can stand in fire and not flinch. Emotional detachment doesn't make you less human. It makes you more powerful than the average human. Because where others drown, you navigate. Where others panic, you plan. And where others seek validation, you embody it. Remember, power is not noise. It's silence that cannot be shaken. Emotional mastery is not about not feeling. It's about feeling deeply yet remaining unmoved. The storm will always come, but you must be the mountain. That doesn't bow. That's emotional invincibility. That's the essence of untouchable power. Number 9, the dark art of influence without the effort. True influence is never loud, never desperate, never forced. It flows from presence, not persuasion. The Machiavellian mind knows that real power doesn't chase approval. It creates gravity. Influence is not about convincing others. It's about becoming someone they cannot ignore. You don't push people. You pull them by being the silent embodiment of what they crave. Certainty, confidence, control. The weak think influence means talking more, showing off, demanding attention. But the masters know every word you don't say has more impact than the ones you do. Influence is built on 3 pillars: mystery, mastery, and detachment. Mystery keeps them intrigued. Mastery earns respect. Detachment keeps you in control. The moment you need someone to follow you, you lose power. The moment you stop needing, they start following willingly, because people were wired to chase what they can't fully grasp. That's why your silence speaks louder than arguments. The Machiavellian man uses restraint as seduction. He lets others reveal themselves, lets them speak first, lets them seek validation while he remains unreadable. This unreadability becomes power, an aura that provokes curiosity and submission. Influence without effort means mastering perception. Every move, every pause, every look must communicate authority. You don't beg for attention. You command it by existing with purpose. You must learn to project confidence even when you say nothing. The powerful use fewer words, slower gestures, deeper eye contact. Every silence feels intentional. Every reaction feels measured. You must become a symbol of discipline in a world of chaos. When others over-explain, you simply look. When they beg to be understood, you stay still. That stillness manipulates emotion. It makes them chase your validation. Influence thrives on emotional imbalance. Give them just enough approval to feel hope, then withdraw it before they feel secure. Keep them chasing equilibrium and you stay in control. That is dark psychology. At its purest form, feeding desire while withholding satisfaction. The Machiavellian never manipulates through lies. He manipulates through truths timed with precision. He knows when to nod, when to stay silent, when to disappear. Power lies not in having the right answers, but in making others question themselves around you. That uncertainty makes them pliable. The longer they try to figure you out, the deeper they fall under your frame. Influence without effort is not about pretending. It's about becoming so self-contained that people sense power. In your stillness, you walk like a storm disguised as calm. You speak like your words weigh gold. You let others talk themselves into your plan, believing it was theirs. That's the highest level of persuasion, making control look like choice. Comment below. I move the world in silence because that's what influence truly is. Movement through silence. Domination through calm. You don't chase followers. They align naturally, pulled by your composure. This is what separates the rulers from the ruled. The ability to bend perception with nothing but presence. When you embody patience, confidence, and mystery, you no longer persuade, you attract. When you no longer need to prove anything, everything starts proving itself to you. That is the dark art of effortless influence. Power so refined it feels like gravity. Number 10. Becoming the unreachable ideal. Power peaks when you become unreachable. When people can see you, desire you, talk about you, but can never quite touch you. The Machiavellian man doesn't compete. He ascends. He doesn't lower himself into the noise of the crowd. He rises above it, silently shaping their behavior from a distance. To become the unreachable ideal, you must transcend attachment to opinion, emotion, and approval. The real world will always try to pull you into its chaos, to make you explain, react, defend, resist it. Every time you react, you shrink. Every time you stay silent, you expand. Mystery is the oxygen of influence. The less they know, the more they imagine. And imagination is stronger than reality. Be the one they cannot predict, cannot categorize, cannot possess. Keep your circle small, your words few, your movements deliberate. Let your discipline become legend. People worship what they cannot access. They chase what stays just beyond reach. When you hold yourself with calm distance, your very existence becomes a mirror to their insecurities. They'll project, admire, hate, love, but through it all, they'll remember. You become an idea, not a man. And ideas never die. To reach this level, you must strip away emotional dependency. You no longer seek validation. You embody it. You no longer explain your path. You are the path. The unreachable ideal lives by one law: presence without accessibility. Appear rarely. Speak precisely. Move strategically. When you do, every word feels like prophecy, every silence like command. The masses crave connection. You give them distance. They crave approval. You give them challenge. They crave comfort. You give them contrast. That tension keeps their focus locked on you. Comment below. I am the standard, not the seeker. Let that echo in your mind. Because when you stop chasing recognition, You become the one who defines it. That's the final stage of Machiavellian mastery. Not manipulation, not dominance, but transcendence. You don't play the game anymore. You design it. You exist beyond competition, beyond imitation. And that's what makes you untouchable, unforgettable, and unshakably powerful. Remember this: kings aren't loud, they're remembered. Be the silence that shapes empires. Be the presence that commands without words. Be unreachable. Be eternal.